out of this round, so you got to find a way to adjust, reset, and get out there and get your next W.
Two very different emotions on each end of the ice, but I absolutely love this emotion.
Yeah, I love this edition, right? Because it's been a hard-fought battle, and there's been a lot of physical engagement on the ice, and you show respect for your opponent in the handshake.
Well, that brings the night to an end, and we will say goodbye here from ringside from all of us here at EA Sports. My name is Jason Rossi. I got you next. The best of man can get. The best.
advantage right from puck drop. Well, you create offense by moving the puck, and that's exactly what he does here. He knows how to manipulate his opponent to open up the lane. It's all about the pass. It's got to be on the money if you want to do something with it.
Possession in the defensive end. He's got a step. He scores!
2 goals in right around a minute 40.
Launch back-to-back here. The team is humming.
Yeah, and talk about putting your opponent on their heels.
Escape the zone. Kentucky's got the puck on the boards. So they put the power in power play.
We see players work on this all the time in practice, and he gets teed up perfectly for a one-time score.
There's the buzzer. Fans seem to enjoy that first 20 minutes. We'll get to the second period right after both teams get a chance to catch their breath. Stick around. And there's the horn bringing the second period to an end. All right, they say 3 is the magic number. Period number 3 is coming up next. How do you view this one?
Philadelphia's got a switch of momentum here in the third period. They threw the first 20 minutes, it felt like they were flat. And lucky that this team is still close to the Well, he's licking his chops when he goes on the road, AJ, but he gets his hat trick. He's been feeling it. When he's on the road, he's something else. Precision passing is what leads to this one-timer opportunity, and it wasn't just an opportunity, James. It was a direct finish as he just slaps and hammers it.
They start from their own end. Solid check to slow down. Kentucky's got the run. Well, better late than never. You knew this was escalating.
Oh, you could feel it. I mean, throughout the building, James, every time they've been on the ice together, there's been words, there's been some edge, some good hits. Now it's resulting in a tilt.
Yeah, I think the officials have seen enough here, Cheryl.
Sometimes I find it funny when the strikes try and get involved, but they choose the right moment right here. The guys are fatigued, they jump in, and that was quite a fight. So bench is showing what they did protectively.
As much fun as we did bringing you the action here from all of us at EA Sports. I'm James Cebulski. Peace.
move the puck around to wait for the right time to be able to move that puck for the one-timer in that low slot area. He didn't have much time to get it off, but he got the wood on it and buried it.
The next goal could be a big one as we are tied. Moves by Jack. Scores, and we take a breath. What a play as they take the lead.
The lead is in their hands, and now it's they're building onto that cushion management, getting pace, controlling the offensive zone. Everything now is on the line.
Been a fun night in the barn as we bring an end to period number 2, and there's still 20 more minutes of action to go here in regulation. Third period. Don't go anywhere. How's it against the half wall?
Really fans complain that low-scoring games are boring. So he uses his speed to break away from his opponent and reads exactly what the goaltender is giving him to be able to convert. What a beautiful play. I love the way he starts and finishes this play. I mean, he knows that he has to lay the hit to separate the puck from body pages. Just stand there once they get possession, and he's able to get that puck back and put it away